Leviticus chapter 17, verses 10 and 11 says, "And whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourn among you, that eateth any manner of blood, I will even set my face against that soul that eateth blood, and will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood." Wow. Hello and welcome to From Sickness to Health. I'm your host, Rico Hill.
And I'm Sickness.
Yes.
And let me guess, the topic of today's program is blood.
Yes, blood. I love talking about blood.
That figures.
Yes, because you know what? There's that song. What can wash away my sins? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. What can make me pure within? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. It is so important to have clean blood to have good health.
Rico, clean blood is boring blood. I gotta give up my party blood, probably eat your boring food. No thanks.
Well, I'm just curious. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What color is your blood? Do you have blue blood?
What? I'm not gonna answer that question.
I mean, you always ask me questions on the program. I mean, do you have blue blood? That's a simple question.
Roll the program!
Oh, so you don't want to answer my question about your blue blood. Fine, roll it.
Exit stage right.
Well, hello there, and welcome to From Sickness to Health. Thank you so much for joining us right here in the studio here. And I'm joined by my good friend, the doctor, Dr. Schubert Palmer. And today we're going to be talking about blood, something he knows a lot about. In fact, Dr. Palmer is a cardiologist. In fact, he's the chairman of the cardiology section of the White Memorial Medical Center in Los Angeles, California. But he does so much more than that. And it's a wonder, it's amazing that he can make time to come and share with us good information about how we can be healthy. His specialty is the heart, but blood pumps through the heart. Welcome, doctor.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
Now, there are about 8 pints of blood that just pump through our bodies, moving through from the head to the toe in about a minute. That's about 3 miles per hour, the average human being. So important is this blood, yet most people don't know anything about it. Today, we want to really bring out the importance, the power, the cleansing power of blood. But you've got to have healthy blood. Before we get into our discussion today, let's go and hear what Sickness has to say about blood.
Hey, Rico. This is how we roll in Hollywood. This is my sports car. And according to the owner's manual, they tell me to change the oil every 3,000 miles. The reason being, it keeps the engine from seizing up from all that dirty oil. And I want to pay attention to that because, hey, if you have dirty oil, you could ruin the engine of your car. You hear the similarities with the human body? You got a liver and kidneys to filter out the old dirty blood, but people don't care about that stuff. But they care about their cars. They change the oil filter, they change their oil, and they keep it nice and clean so that pretty car can keep running. That's what I do. Back to you, Rico. I'm out of here.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. Let's go ahead and get into our discussion. I think there's some good points about what goes through an engine and the fuel and the oil that goes into an engine. But you know what? Blood is even more important. Good blood is even better than good oil in a car. So let's talk about good blood. Can I start off, doctor, by reading a statement that I think is just so powerful? This is found in a book that I love and enjoy. It says, in order to have good health, we must have good blood. For the blood is the current of life. It repairs waste and nourishes the body. when supplied with the proper food elements and when cleansed and vitalized by contact with pure air, it carries life and vigor to every part of the system. The more perfect the circulation, the better this will be accomplished. And that is from a book called Counsels for the Church, page 218. Wow, what is blood being applied to the church for?
As a physician and a scientist, I can validate that statement to the T. I mean, my life work has to do with trying to correct folk who've had, quotes, bad blood.
Bad blood. I like that.
Yeah, and there is, you won't find that in the scientific textbooks. Bad blood. I guarantee that. But if we can get our circulation right, 99% of our problems, at least 90%, would disappear. And when you think about this amazing body that we have,
yes.
Did you know that you have over 60,000 miles of blood vessels?
It sounded like you said miles, but I think you meant 60,000 feet, right?
It sounds that way, but no, 60 to 100,000 miles of blood vessels.
This could go around the planet.
Just three of us, and we could reach the moon. That's the amount of circulation. Now, they range in size from the larger arteries, like the aorta, like an inch size.
Yeah.
And they will get down to the size for the arteriole, which is 2/100ths of an inch, down to the capillary size, where they're so small that the red blood cells have to squeeze through these little capillaries one at a time.
Whoa.
So if you can keep your circulation free and clear, you've gone a mighty long way to having good health.
So the key to really good health is having pure blood, and that pure blood needs to be uninhibited or impeded by anything so that it is circulating at the rate of speed, because it's taking things. Blood is not just blood. It's actually sort of a transportation sort of mechanism, isn't it? Mm-hmm. What is it moving through the body?
Yeah. In fact, you can consider it like the current of life, the river of life.
The river.
Bringing nutrients, and probably the most important, they're all important, but oxygen.
Oxygen. In
those red blood cells. When you look at blood, 55% or 54% is liquid or plasma.
Yeah.
And then the other 45% are solid material, the majority of which are the red blood cells that are responsible for carrying the oxygen in the hemoglobin molecule. Mm-hmm. And then bringing the waste back, or the carbon dioxide, maybe 70% of the carbon dioxide just is in the blood itself. A percentage of it gets in the red blood cells, but most of it is just within the blood system itself. So you have the oxygen, carbon dioxide exchange, but that's only the beginning. Now we have to look at the nutrients. What are some of the hormones we have running around? The body communicates by hormones, and the brain will send some hormones by the blood to the different organs. If they're in trouble, they will send their signals by the blood.
So there's communication.
So there's communication network.
Transportation, communication.
And the list goes on.
Okay.
And then the immune system is vitally dependent on the blood. You have this array of white blood cells that are designed to detect foreign invaders, whether that is bacteria, viruses, or even cells that have gone astray, the cancer cells. And every one of us, the thinking goes, during the course of our lifetime, we'll have anywhere from up to 250 cancer cells that might form. Now, your body has 100 trillion cells.
100 trillion.
And trying to detect problems in only 250, how do you do that? The blood system is set up along with the lymphatic system and so on to detect those cells and to literally gobble up those cancer cells before they cause trouble.
Diet is going to play a big part because in the statement that I read, the food that we eat is pretty much converted to blood. Mm-hmm. That's where our blood comes from. That's how we make blood. Good nutrition in, good pure blood, right? But we're finding in a lot of communities, certainly the African American community and some others, we have a higher incidence of hypertension and heart disease and these kind of things because our blood is not pure. So we're still talking about blood though, because really we're told in Leviticus chapter 17 and verse 11, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul." So for the life of the flesh is in the blood. Now, I don't know if people would consider this to be science, but in the Bible it says that the life of the flesh is in the blood. When a person goes in for a routine doctor's visit, what are they going to check and why?
They will do a physical examination, of course, a careful history, but
Yeah.
usually they will do a blood test. And you need to see an inside view as to what's happening. And one of the best ways to do that is to get some blood tests done, and you can get the answers to many things. And nowadays, it's even more fancy with the different tests that we have available.
So if I want to know if someone might be on the other end of that video, you were talking about immune function and, we have trillions of blood cells, but at the same time, 250 could be cancerous, right? So if we're going to be able to detect whether there is cancer in the blood, are we saying that through a blood test we can detect things like cancer?
By the time we detect cancer in a person's on the best science that we have right now, it's usually been around for 5 years or more. So no, the blood tests are good for screening, but they're picking up the damage after it has been way gone. So the old adage is true: a pound of prevention is, or an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Ah, so this is what it comes down to. Again, we're seeing that no matter what you may be genetically predisposed to, that means, you're having something passed down from, from mama or daddy or grandpa. But it really comes down to how or what measures are you taking to prevent sickness and disease? Right?
For the majority of cases, that is true.
The majority of cases. Something like 70% I've read.
Yes, or even
even
higher.
more, or even higher. So I like this expression. Maybe you can expound upon it a little more, and that is genetics loads the gun,
But your lifestyle
pulls the trigger.
pulls the trigger, yes. Let me give you an example. For example, for the heart disease, there are what they call single nucleotide polymorphisms. Big word, but these are genetic mutations in the DNA that lead to abnormalities that predispose you to, say, heart disease. And so we've figured out a lot of them. And one of them in particular that they've found out that's pretty common, and they found that things like Coates fish oil can actually help that one, but that's just one. And each of these mutations have their own baggage with them. Now, if you come down with a mutation problem, and we all are damaged goods.
No matter what we do.
No matter, yes, and you can't change your genes.
Right.
But the research is confirming that even though you may have had bad genes, and there are a few exceptions, like people that have one called progeria, in which 10-year-old kids get heart attacks because they age so rapidly.
Yeah.
1 in 20 million people. It's very rare.
Very rare.
So the majority of problems that we are seeing today cannot just be laid at the excuse, if you will, of just having bad genes. Because the lifestyle that we develop will directly affect it. And I have a good example of Mr. I Hate Beans.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Mr. I Hate Beans. You've just heard that. We're going to talk about Mr. I Hate Beans. Tell us about Mr. I Hate Beans.
so this gentleman walks into my office, okay? And actually, I first saw him in the emergency room again. Most of my people I see in the emergency room first. And so he's having a heart attack. We rush him to the cath lab. We went ahead and did a stent, opened up the blocked artery. And I talked to him about changing his lifestyle. He didn't. He was smoking, eating at all the fast food places, every bad habit he had. Around 2 or 3 heart attacks later, and another 4 or 5 stents.
2 or 3 heart attacks?
So then he comes in, and now we have to do a bypass surgery. Okay, so he got the bypass surgery, and now we're out around 5 years from the first time I saw him, and now he's saying, I'm having this severe chest pain. I'm using 100 nitroglycerin tablets a day, the pills you put under your tongue when you have chest discomfort.
Yeah.
And he says, I can't walk to my bathroom unless I take a nitro. And so he comes into my office and he says now, so Dr. Palmer, am I going to die? And I looked him in the eye and sadly says, yes, you are going to die.
You had to be that honest.
I had to be straightforward with him. And he says, so can I, every time he'd come in, I said, their lifestyle changes. I mean, a simple thing is eat your beans and lentils, Stay away from a lot of the foods that you're having and have more of the foods as grown.
Plant-based diet versus the high-fat, saturated, fried foods.
Yeah. And he just said, I can't do it. Okay? And so what happens over this time, now he's having 100 nitroglycerin tablets a day, he is going to die. Yeah, I did an angiogram. The surgeon said I would not touch that man with a 20-foot pole. He will die on the table. I couldn't do any more angioplasties. There was nothing there when I did the angiogram. No arteries that you could see. And I knew we were in trouble. So I told him, yes, you can go back home to your country to say goodbye to your folk. Since you're not listening to me, you just prepare to die, we had a prayer, and my heart was
You prayed
broken.
with him?
I pray with a lot of my patients when they allow me to, absolutely.
Praise
and
God.
so when I said goodbye, I knew I would never see him again. 3 months later, this man walks through the door with a picture of perfect health on him.
You gotta be kidding me.
I said, Mr. I hate beans.
That's what you called him?
Well.
That's what you were thinking.
Yeah, I said, you are alive. What happened? You're supposed to be dead. And then he said, his wife was with him, and she confirmed the story. She says, I cannot keep up walking with this man. And I said, so sit down. Tell me what happened. He says, well, I went back to my home country up in the hills where we lived. And he says, where we live, we are so poor, the only food that they had for me to eat were lentils and beans. And then he says, we are so poor, I couldn't walk anywhere. I couldn't take a taxi. They couldn't afford a taxi.
So he had to walk.
So I had to walk. And then he says, we're so poor, we didn't have a television. So I had to go into the backyard and garden to spend time.
What? So there was time out in the fresh air, in the sunshine, and he was walking.
He was walking.
And this turned his situation around.
Turned his situation around.
Wow. Hold on. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What happened is when you look at an artery, the inside lining of the artery there are special cells called endothelial cells. They make their own nitroglycerin. And to make their nitroglycerin for these inner lining of the arteries, they need to have L-arginine is the building block from which they can make nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the most potent vasodilator and also one of the most potent chemotherapy, cancer-fighting chemical known to man.
So fighting the cancer, but also keeping the blood vessels and the veins and arteries open.
All natural.
Just naturally, from beans.
Beans and lentils, and these are high in the L-arginine foods that your body uses to make nitric oxide.
Let's see if the people on the street know about the goodness of beans and good blood and a good heart. Let's turn to that.
Let me ask you a question. We're going to get all sciencey here. How fast does blood flow?
Very fast.
Very fast.
Very fast.
She didn't get good grades in school. I need some specifics here. How fast does blood flow?
You know what? I was not very good in my science class.
Well, the answer is too fast. Blood needs to slow down because, you know what? It needs to enjoy life a little. All these people talking about good circulation. No, you gotta let blood just do what it does. Coagulate and stuff, Yeah. Do you like happy blood?
I don't know what happy blood is.
Look, the way to get happy blue blood is to sit on the couch, put your feet up, eat whatever you want, as often as you want, and don't go to sleep. See, that's the thing. Blue blood, slow blood is good blood. You see what I'm saying? I think you see what I'm saying. You guys, you have good blood flow?
Yeah.
You have blue blood?
Yeah.
Okay, circulation. How fast do you think in the human body's circulation? How often does that happen? How fast does it go? I'm getting a little sciencey on you. I'm pretty smart.
I don't know.
He doesn't know, but you're smart. You look smart.
I have no idea.
No idea. You?
No idea.
No idea. Do you like the sign of blood? The sight of it? I mean, do you like to look at blood itself?
No.
No?
No.
I mean, you don't like blood. I don't like blood. I mean, it's all this confusion out there about blood. I think in concept, people like clean blood. But in reality, people like party blood. They like the buzz. So don't be a buzz kill. Clean blood sounds good, but people would rather have party blood, happy blood. Back to you, Rico.
What can you say?
What can I say?
People have their own ideas. But, you know, what we like to do on this program is really give, you know, really good science and give you the truth, dispel the myths and misconceptions of these things, and also go to the Word of God. And, you know, at one point, our doctor mentioned that, you know, when we have good blood, we're also transporting these white blood cells, which is our immune function. And it says in Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 19, it says, "So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him." So when the enemy, that is any type of pathogen or bacterial viral infection comes in, God has a standard, doesn't he, that he raises up in the body. But not only that, he's already given us a standard. He's given us a healthy diet and all the things from the garden, the fruits, the vegetables, and the things that are good for us to eat and will give us pure blood, making good life. Is that right?
That's an awesome thing to know. To think that your best medicines can be found in the produce section of the supermarket.
You mean not in the middle aisles where you can go and find the things that are at eye level and that have lots of descriptions and ingredients that you can't pronounce? Not those?
Not those.
Okay, so, you know, I want to look at these things because this is a stent. This is a stent that you often have to put in someone. This has become almost commonplace. In fact, our president, he's former president, but Bill Clinton, he had one of these placed in him, didn't he?
He did, not just one, he had several. And when he saw his cardiologist at the time, they told him, well, you're growing old, and this is just a natural process for growing old.
That's what they told him.
Unfortunately,
they were wrong.
Well, I don't like to say anything about my colleagues, but just let's say...
The information wasn't...
we are able, in a program like this, to tell the truth. The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Amen. So he had to get several of these in, but that wasn't enough. And maybe sometime on a later program, we'll show exactly what he said, because everyone was interviewing him and asking, how did you overcome your issue? Mm-hmm. And he tells the story. He had to get several stents, but his doctors told him, you've got to change what?
You had to change your lifestyle, and which the diet was very important.
Diet was critical. A big part of it. Mm-hmm. And now he's what we call a vegan. And a vegan is basically someone who just has a plant-based diet. Mm-hmm. So we can avoid this thing. Now, is that painful?
Well, of course not. It is radical, but it's not painful. Well, it is sometimes. Let me tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
We use local anesthesia, and you're a little sedated, and sometimes I'll sing for my patients if they really need the big anesthesia.
But after you have it in and you're walking around, you don't notice it, but
no,
for a while, though, you would feel some discomfort, would you?
No, not necessarily. If it's doing its job, it will be okay. However, if your lifestyle hasn't changed, the process is starting to start up again or in another area. And if you have to have a big surgery, the bypass surgery, that one you will feel for quite a while.
Oh, well, I tell you, Dr. Palmer, thank you so much. We're running out of time, but we could just go on for days and days. But here's the thing. We know that there's a simple solution to this problem. Let's eat better. Let's eat a diet that is, eat a diet that is going to be heart healthy and promote good blood and good health, because that is the river of life. And we want life, don't we?
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time here on From Sickness to Health. Thank you, Doc. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Today we have learned that in order to have good health, we must have good blood. For the blood is the current of life. If you have a blood that is more acidic, you have a garden where disease and sickness will thrive. I go to places like the desert and everything is dry and dead, but when there's a river there, you'll see the green trees and everything is flourishing. That's what the blood is referred to, an actual river of life. Wow. When you have good circulation, you'll have good health. It's amazing to me that whatever we eat is converted to blood. You eat an apple, it's going to turn into blood. Eat a candy bar? Well, I'm not so sure. But here's the thing. God desires us to have pure blood. God designed this incredible organism to be able to live because of this current of life.
I understand. I get it. Look, you saw my sports car. I take care of it. I understand that with good oil, I have a good, healthy car. With dirty oil, the engine will seize up. I understand that. Just like I understand all this stuff you're talking about with the blood in the body. That's not the issue. You're trying to take the fun out of life. And people want to have a little party blood. They want to have some fun in life, not eat all these leaf things and gross stuff you guys eat.
I'm sorry, I hate to cut you off, but I heard you say people want to have a little life. Well, actually, Leviticus chapter 17 and 11 says that the life of the flesh is in the blood. Without good blood, you have no life. Let's listen to what God has said to us regarding the life of this flesh being in the blood. Well, that's our program for today. I leave you with this. As always, 3 John 2 says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health." I'm Rico Hill.
I'm Sickness.
Maranatha.
My blood alcohol content is too high. Too much party blood. Not enough clean blood. Feeling sluggish, tired, maybe drunk. Oh. Party blood bad. Clean blood much better. My head is hurting me. Oh.